Hello and welcome to Theology on Tap. It's a special day today. It's a Good Friday, and I was on BibleGateway.com, and this is their verse of the day. And they chose Romans chapter 5, verse 6 through 8. It said, "You see, at just the right time, when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly." Christ died for the ungodly. And if you were to read book of Romans, he kind of tells you who the ungodlies are. And in chapter 1, 2, and basically part of 3, he says, the ones that do not know God, because they don't have the law, they don't have God's commandments, yeah, they're guilty of sin, because even though they don't know the law, they break the law anyway, so they're guilty of it, so they're ungodly. But Paul's point was, what if you have the law? What if you do? Because it says on Romans 3, it says, "For by deeds of the law, no flesh shall be justified before his presence, for by means of the law, sin is known." So it seems like what he's saying is the point of the law was to say that it's to point out what sin is. And just because people know what sin is and what righteousness is, doesn't mean that they're going to choose to do the righteous. So basically, the law reveals sin in people. So Paul's point is, whether you have the law or whether you don't have it, it doesn't matter. We're all ungodly. So Christ died for the ungodly means he died for the people that have the commandments and those who do not. So basically the whole world. Now, this is where I want to do the Peshitta versus NIV and other versions of the Bible, because it's really interesting. Listen to what it says on Romans 3, verse 22. I'm just going to stick with that verse today. I'm going to read to you from NIV. So you're talking about ungodly is everybody. Jesus died for ungodly, every single person. Whether you have the commandments or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So then he says in NIV on Romans 3, verse 22, "This righteousness," right, the righteousness of God, "is given through faith in Jesus Christ to all who believe, for there is no difference between Jews and Gentiles." All right? So what NIV says is that everyone is ungodly, but you could have the righteousness of God if you believe in Jesus, right? You have to have faith in Jesus. And this righteousness is given to those who believe, whether you're Jew or not, whether you have the commandments or don't have the commandments, you have to have faith in Jesus. So a lot of times this verse is used to say that, and I know it's used this way because I have a material, very popular, famous material. They just went over the book of Romans last year, and I read it over, and it says, yeah, you have to have faith in Jesus to be considered righteous from God. That's part of being saved. All right? But you have to have faith in Jesus. But if you go to the original Greek, it doesn't say the words Jews and Gentiles. It doesn't. In some translation, I think is NASB, it says, "Even the righteousness of God comes through faith in Jesus Christ to all those who believe, for there is no distinction." There is no difference. So what does that mean that there is no difference? So NIV kind of adds words in there that says Jews and Gentiles, because you have to explain, what do you mean there's no difference? What do you mean there's no difference between what? But NASB just seems to say the righteousness of God comes through faith in Jesus Christ to everyone there who believe, for he doesn't discriminate. He doesn't make any distinction, I guess, between whether you're a male, female, Jew, Gentile, Korean, Chinese, American. It doesn't matter. I guess that's what it's trying to say. But it doesn't say Jews and Gentiles. But NIV adds the words just to clarify what it means. So everything seems to be, somewhat similar. But here's a problem. If you go to the King James Version, though, it says this, somewhat different. It says, "Even the righteousness of God, which is by faith of Jesus Christ," right? Faith of Jesus Christ, "unto all and upon all those who believe, for there is no difference." So it seems to say one thing a little bit different here. It's saying that the righteousness of God is by faith of Jesus Christ, and this righteousness is unto all and upon those who believe. And I don't know, somebody said, well, this is what they mean by Jews and Gentiles. Upon all people, and also upon people who believe. I guess meaning who believe in the commandments of God, who has the law. So Jews and Gentiles, for there is no difference. It's a little bit different, right? It's not, the righteousness is not just for people who believe in Jesus Christ, but it is the faith of Christ that is given. You go to Young's literal translation, where there's no bias whatsoever here. It says, and the righteousness of God is through the faith of Jesus Christ, right? To all and upon all those believing, for there is no difference, right? So the righteousness of God comes through faith of Jesus Christ, and this is for all and to those who are believing, for there's no difference. So it kind of seems like that, once again, it could be Jews and Gentiles. All right. Now, out of all the translations, it pretty much says the same thing. But if you go to Peshitta, which I'm really enjoying, I've been really enjoying Peshitta, it says this: but the righteousness of God is by the faith of Jesus Christ to everyone, also to every man who believes in him, for there is no discrimination. Right? So it seems to me like what the Peshitta is trying to say is that the righteousness of God is faith of Jesus Christ to everyone, and to everyone who believes in him, meaning who believes in Jesus Christ. Right? It's not believing in the law or anything, believes in Christ, for there's no discrimination. So it seems to say God does not discriminate between those who do not believe in Christ and to those who believe in Christ. That's what it seems like. What does that mean? It means that the righteousness of God came to the world because of the faith that God had in Jesus Christ. It's the faith of Christ that brings the righteousness of God. It kind of takes away the importance of our faith in him, right? And I think that's very important. Now, is it important that we have faith in him as well, in a sense of having a faith in the faith of Christ, right? Believing in his faith. Is that important? Of course it is important. I think it's a life-changing thing. But I think before we get to that point, I think we need to come to the conclusion and agreement first that salvation, that the righteousness of God, it comes because of Jesus Christ's faith of Christ, and this righteousness is upon all people, right? All people, even to those who do not believe in him, they have it, they got it, and our duty as Christians is to let them know that, to show what Christ has done, Jesus and him crucified. I love this day, and I love, Paul's writing, because majority of New Testament is Paul's writing. I love it because, like in Corinthians, he says, I preach nothing but Jesus and him crucified. That matters. So that's why I think it's important that we understand when Paul talks about living in Christ, he's especially the righteousness that comes. It's not through the law. It's not coming through any kind of tradition. It comes through the faith of Christ and the power of his resurrection, the spirit that is given to us, right? That is for everybody. That's for everybody. And our job is to spread that gospel of righteousness that was brought to the world, whether you believe in Jesus or not. That's what the Peshitta seems to say. Anyway, what do you think? Which one do you like? You like the NIV that says you have to have faith in Jesus Christ to have the righteousness of God, Do you like the what was it, the King James version that seems to say pretty much the same thing, but it's not just between Jews and Gentiles. It's for, I guess, Jews and Gentiles is everybody, but it's not just the law, but others who do not have the law, they could have the righteousness of God. Or do you like Peshitta that seems to say that, look, the righteousness of God comes from faith of Christ, and it is brought upon all people and to those who are believing in Jesus Christ, for there is no difference. Or God doesn't make distinctions. You know, which one do you like? I personally like Peshitta. I like it a lot because it kind of reaffirms what I think other Christians have said in the past that I liked, and I think it's good. And our job to evangelize, to let people know what Christ has done. So we don't boast about our own faith. We just boast about Jesus and Him crucified. I think that's better. Anyway, God bless you on this wonderful day. Hope you're doing well. Stay safe. If you like my content, please like this video. Share it with your friends, right? Share the good news. God bless you. I'll see you next time.